DeVon Franklin, you are the producer of Flamin Hot, which is coming out on Hulu and Disney Plus very, very soon, just in a few days now.
Yes,
It's the story of Richard Montañez, the guy who went from being a janitor to the creator of the Flamin Hot Cheetos.
yes.
Why this story? What sparked your interest?
For me, I was just so motivated by his story when I heard it the first time. He came to my office about 7 years ago, and we sat down and met along with his wife, Judy. And I just said to him, "Tell me your story." And as he started telling me about putting chili powder on a Cheeto and, marketing it to his community and that propelling his success up the corporate ladder to ultimately going from janitor to becoming one of the top executives at the company, by the end of hearing his story, I just said, yes, I've got to make your movie if you would allow me. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just knew that if it was inspiring me, it was going to inspire others. And I just felt convicted in that one meeting that I had to do it. And so it's a blessing that, here we are almost 7 years later, and it's about to come to the world.
When you first find a story, either one that you've discovered yourself or one you've been pitched on, which I'm sure there are plenty of those, how do you decide? You mentioned conviction. How talk a little bit about that? How you decide what ends up you want to move forward with, and what you want to put on the back burner.
It's just it comes down to that. It's like conviction and commerciality. So if I'm convicted by the story, I also have to feel that it's commercial. I have to feel that there's an audience that's going to want to see it. I have to be able to see how I can market it, how I can publicize it. And there are certain stories I'm convicted by, but I don't see how they're commercial. So I won't do those. But those that I feel convicted by and that I believe are commercial, those are the ones that I'm going to do. And those are the ones that I ultimately get behind, like the Flamin' Hot movie.
Something that I think is fascinating is a lot of our audience here at Faithwire and CBN, of course, will know you for the faith-based content
Yeah.
you've created, right? The faith-based movies, and this has a lot of faith elements in it, but it's in a unique way, right? A lot of it is, I don't want to give too much of the movie away, of course, but seeing Richard's wife, right, and him leaning on her
Yeah.
faith and trusting in her faith to kind of carry him through after he had not so good faith experience in his upbringing. Talk a little bit about that dynamic and how you fleshed it out in the movie.
Yeah, that dynamic between Richard and his wife as it relates to their relationship and as it relates to faith was very much taken from what happened in real life. And initially neither of them, were in the church, so to speak. And ultimately it was Judy, who came to faith first, and Richard was very resistant to it. And over a period of time, he became to see the value of having, Christ in his life and giving his life over to God. And as he started to do that, things started to work out in his favor over time. So the goal was to, basically similar to how they experienced it, to go ahead and put that in the movie to just show their journey and to show that it's not about where you start, it's about where you end up. And especially when it comes to faith. And we also let the audience have fun with that journey.
Yeah.
Especially with how, the moment when he kind of comes to faith, it's a serious moment, but it also has some humor in it. And we also just wanted to show people that just because you have a life of faith doesn't mean you can't also have fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think that y'all do a great job of being humorous and lighthearted, but still communicating really important concepts, whether it's about faith or coming from a difficult place as a child or dealing with racism and prejudice. You tackle a lot of those subjects, but I think you do it in a way that's approachable, and I think is family friendly too, which
Right
is
on.
which is
Thank you.
unique to tackling those issues and still being a movie that everybody can watch and enjoy, regardless of
Right.
where they are in their experience. And I want to ask too, when you're dealing with a living legend, it's a bit different than when you're dealing with somebody who's already passed away, right? So you have the family
Yeah.
of you have Richard and his family are all still there and very much have their hands in the story. Talk a bit about that, how they've been receptive to the film.
Oh my goodness, they've been extremely receptive to the movie. I mean, as I mentioned, Richard and I met about 7 years ago, and he told me his story, and then Richard and his wife Judy, went out when I went to go sell this to different studios and pitch it to different studios. They went with me. Then once we had the first draft of the script, I let them read it. I got their notes. I, kept them abreast of hiring Eva, of developing the script. They went to set multiple times. They've now, been out on the promotional trail. And, when they see the movie, they're just deeply grateful to God. Their life is amazing. Their life has been incredible. Yet they wanted this movie to be told, to give people hope. And so now that they see it, they think we got it right, which is so important. For me, it's a movie, and no matter how much I love it, it's a movie. But for them, it's their life. So the fact that they can see this in the on TV and on the big screen and say, "Wow, you all got it right," and now that story and their life will be eternal.
Yeah.
It will be forever, available for generations to come to see the film. So they're very, very excited about that, and I'm still just so grateful they wouldn't trust me to tell their story.
And this is also a directorial debut for Eva Longoria, right? That she hasn't done this before. Tell me a little bit about how that relationship came about. How did she get connected with the film?
I was looking for a director, and I sent out the script, and I met with about 12 directors, and she was one of those candidates that came in, and I met her for the first time, and she had a really, dynamic take on the movie and a lot of really incredible notes. And at the end of that meeting, I knew that she was the director, and that was the process of getting her hired. And then once we started working together, she's become a close friend. She's amazing. She just, I can't say enough good things about her. She's like a force of nature, and was a phenomenal director, and really treated everybody with respect on the set, and had an open dialogue. She was awesome. And so I think the movie is as good as it is because of who she is, right? Like, yes, I supported, and I certainly, was there every day, but it was really once she came on board in service of her vision. And I'm just so grateful that I was smart enough to hire her.
Something that I think is cool about this film is that it's really a quintessential American success story, right? It tells the story of somebody who went from being at the bottom of the rung, as Richard even talks about, right? He started with nothing, started as a janitor once he finally got the job, and then worked his way obviously up the ladder to be the success that we all know him to be, and to even earn a movie after him. It seems like we don't have a whole lot of these kinds of movies, though, that are telling these rags to riches stories. Why is it important to tell these kinds of American success stories, do you think?
Because I get that, I get the obsession with superhero movies. I get it. And I'm certainly not anti-superhero. But that's all make-believe. You can't put on a suit of iron and fly through your city and save it. It won't work. But you can watch Flamin' Hot. You can see the life of Richard Montañez, a real life superhero, and you can do what he did to find success. So it's very important, I believe, to continue to tell these real life stories to give people real time hope. That's critical. It doesn't mean that you can't be inspired by, a fictional story. Of course you can. However, I personally believe that inspiration goes to another level when you know what you're watching actually happened. And so it becomes more tangible. Wow, Richard was able to persevere. Richard had people that helped him. Richard had a heart of service. I can do that too. So it's essential to keep these movies alive and to tell these stories, not only to reinforce the American dream, but to give people real-time hope that all things are possible to those who believe.
Absolutely. Well, my last question for you is, like, I've talked to enough of directors, producers, actors to know that something surprising or difficult happens on every journey to making a film. And I want to ask you, was there something that surprised you, either in a good way or a bad way, about either Richard's story or making this film that just kind of surprised you, caught you off guard in this process?
I think the surprising part, the hardest part was making the factory. We had to recreate a working Frito-Lay factory, which is, it's not easy.
That's an undertaking.
Tell you, it was massive. It was, there were some moments I just didn't know what we were going to do. I was like, well, we can't tell this movie without a factory. But there were moments when I was like, I don't know how we're going to figure it out. So it was truly a blessing that we finally were able to find the right location. We found an old newspaper factory in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We were able to, have 2 production designers on board who came and helped us, our art department, our DP, wardrobe, everybody, all the department heads came together. And our line producer was phenomenal to really help us, figure out how to get this done. And so what you see in the movie is a testament to teamwork. And I'm so grateful we figured it out.
Well, thank you so much, DeVon Franklin, for taking a few minutes. Congratulations on the movie.
Thanks, Trey. I appreciate you.